So before we're able to play any songs at all on the guitar, we're going to need it to be in tune. And that just means that each of the strings is supposed to be a specific note, and we need to make sure that they are exactly as loose or as tight as they need to be in order to accurately represent that note. So this note right here, the string that's closest to your face, by the way, I'll say this several more times, and you'll forget it several more times than that, but this one that's closest to your face is actually the 6th string. We usually count the strings from the ground up. So the one that's closest to your face, that you're most likely to go to first, is not the 1st string. That's the 6th string. 1, 2, 3, 4, 5. Okay, so this one right here is supposed to be an E. And you can see on my tuner here that it's actually like almost perfectly in the middle right there. So that's a pretty good E. Now, if it was out of tune, it might be something like that right there. So this string right here, the 6th string, is attached to the tuning peg that is closest to me. And for right now, maybe forever, you'll want to, as you're tuning each string, make sure that you follow it all the way up past the nut to the tuning peg and then see which tuning key it's associated with so that you make sure you're turning the right one. If you turn the wrong one, you're going to break a string, and that's going to be terrifying for you. So, and you're going to have to replace the strings, which is just a pain in the rear, and you're going to feel like an idiot. So that's going to happen a dozen times. It happens to all of us, no problem. So this one right here is an E. As you can see, it's saying, I think you're trying to play an E, but it's pretty low. So I'm going to take this thing right here, this tuning key that's associated with the string I'm playing. And you'll notice also, I've got my fingers in these other strings. So as I'm playing it, I don't get other strings that are coming out, other noises. I want this tuner to just only hear this one string. So kind of got my fingers wedged into the other strings here. I'm just making sure that only that one note comes out. And while that's playing, and it's saying your E is too low, I'm going to take this tuning key and I'm going to turn it in the direction to make that tighter, which is going to make the note higher. How do I know which direction to go? You're just gonna have to get used to it. I don't know that I would be able to tell you unless I'm holding a guitar in my hand. Like if students ask me, oh, so is that right or left? I'm like, I don't know. And I like have to imagine holding a guitar and then I know which direction it is. So eventually you'll just feel it, but you don't have to be able to feel it. If you just watch your tuner, if I turn this the wrong direction, then it'll entirely change the note right there. So I'm going the wrong direction now. I want to go back to the E. Now we'll get to that in just a second. As you can see here, I'm on an E now, but it's still too low, and it's supposed to go up a little bit more until I get that straight up and down. There we go. So that's a perfect E right there, because when I play it, it's straight up and down. Now, as you saw, it changed to a different note, and that might be confusing for you. So let's go through that. The musical alphabet goes A, B, C, D, E, F, G. There are 7 different letters in the musical alphabet, and then after G, it's just going to repeat over again. And in between most of those, we have something called a sharp that you'll see on your tuner. They're also flats, but we don't have to worry about that on guitar. So, for example, between an E and the next note down, E is here. The next note down would be A, B, C, D, E, D, E. The next note down would be a D. So between a D and an E, there's something called a D sharp. So a D sharp is lower than an E, but a D sharp is higher than a D. So if I was to play this note right here, this is an E, if I'm going to drop that down to where it's not even really an E anymore, eventually I'm going to hit a D sharp, and then eventually I'm going to hit a D. And if I keep on going, I'd hit a B, C, D, a C, or the note that's in between C and D, which is C sharp. So let's try that out. I'm on an E right now. If I drop this thing down, my tuner is going to tell me, oh, I think you're trying to play an E, but it's too low, and I'm going to keep going. Now it's going, oh, you're not even trying to play an E, you're trying to play a D sharp, aren't you? If I keep going down lower, eventually it's going to say, great job, that's a perfect D sharp, way to go. If I keep going lower, and that little hashtag right there, by the way, that is the sharp sign. So it's a D hashtag. And if I keep going, that hashtag is going to go away, and it's going to go, oh, you're not even trying to play a D sharp anymore. You're just trying to play a D. That's a great D. Good job. If I keep going down, it should say, oh, you're not trying to play a D. You're trying to play a C sharp. And if I keep going, Eventually we'd go down to a C, and then we'd go through a B, and then we'd go through an A, and we'd go through the next note down, which would be the note before A is G, and then F. So it goes A, B, C, D, E, F, G, A, B, C, D, E, F, G, A, B, C, D, E, F, G. So at this point, I'm on a C. I'm nowhere close to an E. So in order to get back up, I'm gonna have to go through C sharp, and then through D, and then through D sharp, and then finally land on an E. So here we go, C, keep going up, that's C sharp. Go through C sharp until we get to D. Go through D sharp. By the way, there's going to be times where you're tuning your guitar and you're turning the tuning key, and that tuner just isn't changing. What's wrong with my tuner? I must have a broken tuner. What's wrong is you're probably turning the wrong tuning key. So, and you're about to break a string. So if that tuner isn't moving while you're twisting this thing, beware. So here we are in a D sharp. Haven't gotten there yet. And there's my E. It's back up to an E. We're good to move on to the next one. So once again, we're gonna wanna make sure that all of these strings are muted. They're not making any sound except for the one that we want to tune. We want to tune this next one right here, the 5th string, counting from the ground up. 1, 2, 3, 4, 5. The 6th string is already good. We want to go to the 5th string now, and it's supposed to be an A. For the sake of being able to tune all of these, let me just real quick here mess up all the tunings on my guitar so we can tune these other 5 strings well. All right, so everything should be totally jacked up now. Let's go back to this one that's supposed to be an A. Now, I've got a chart right here that tells you what each of the strings is supposed to be. So it should be E, A, D, G, B, E, or if you wanted to look at it like this, it would be going from the string that's closest to you to the string that's farthest away. It'd be E, A, D, G, B, E. I don't know who came up with it, but it seems to be really popular to think Eddie ate dynamite, goodbye Eddie. Eddie ate dynamite, goodbye Eddie. That's the names of the letters that the strings are supposed to be playing. So Eddie is that one. We already tuned that one. That's a pretty good E, and we're gonna move on to this one right here. Now this is supposed to be an A, but it says G. So now you gotta think in your head, where is G in relationship to A? Because this one's supposed to be an A. Our alphabet goes A, B, C, D, E, F, G, A. So if I'm on a G, I wanna be a little bit tighter, a little bit higher to get to that A. And I'm probably gonna have to pass through a G sharp in order to get there. So right here, I'm on a G, and I wanna go tighter until it goes, oh, you're not even trying to play a G anymore, you're trying to play a G sharp. Little does it know, I don't care at all about a G sharp. I want to get all the way up to an A. And again, with my fingers wedged in, so I'm only getting that one string. Now I've got a pretty good A. There we go. And we're moving on to the next one. Eddie ate dynamite. So this one should be a D. Let's see what this is. A C sharp. So A, B, C, D. C is a little bit lower than a D, so we want to go up a little bit. I'm already on the C sharp, so I'm actually really close to a D. So this one here, make it a little bit tighter. If I go the wrong direction, it'll just turn into a C. There's nothing wrong with that. It just means that I'm going the wrong direction, so I need to switch directions and go the other way. So before you start tuning anything, turning anything, you want to think about where you're expecting that to go. Because if it's on a C sharp and you start turning and it goes to C, you're like, I'm not on a D yet, I better keep going. But you shouldn't keep going, you should go the opposite direction. Because you want to get from a C sharp to a D. And that's a D, and that's a pretty good D right there, straight up and down. So then we move on to the next one. Eddie ate dynamite, good. So this one here, again, fingers wedged in between all the strings, so I'm only getting the sound of that one string. And here, because the tuning pegs are now on the other side, the tuning keys are on the other side, now the directions of all of them have changed. So before, turning away would make the string get higher. Now that's all changed, that's all the opposite. So again, just test it out, turn a little bit and see what the tuner does. Does that note go up or does it go down? And then make your changes based on that. So this is Eddie ate dynamite, good. This should be a G. And this is a G, it's just not quite high enough. So I'm gonna make this a little bit tighter. that's a pretty good G right there. Eddie 8 Dynamite, goodbye. Bye. That one should be a B, and it says it's an A sharp. A is below B, so I need to go a little bit higher. Until it says I'm looking for a B. And pretty much whenever you tune your guitar, the strings should be lower, because what should be happening is that the strings are kind of like relaxing, getting looser, and so when it goes out of tune, it should get lower. Especially if your guitar has been like in the car. Don't leave your guitar in the car. But if it's really hot and your guitar's been in the car, then all those strings will be really loose. So the only time it should be higher is if you were playing it in a warm environment and then it got really cold, and then things would tighten up a little bit, and that would make the notes higher. Also, if it's an extreme temperature, either extremely cold or extremely warm, when you go to play it and you tune it with it extremely cool or warm, then you're going to have to retune it soon after that, because the strings are either going to relax or tighten up. So this one should be a B, and right there, that's a pretty good looking B. So we've got Eddie 8 Dynamite, goodbye Eddie. So this last one's also supposed to be an E. You can see that says D sharp. So I'm going to tighten that up past the D sharp. And if you had to change very much on your strings, like if they were very much out of tune, then probably if you go back to that first string, it's going to be out of tune, because you just changed the tension between the bridge and the nut a lot. So even though this E was in tune before when we played it, because I changed so much tension here, now that's going to be a lot looser, because the nut and the bridge are, fractions of a millimeter closer together. So this is no longer the same size string that it was before. So now this E needs to kind of get retuned. And so I just kind of go through all of them. Once again, Eddie 8 Dynamite, good, bye, Eddie. Eddie 8 Dynamite, good, bye, Eddie. And as soon as I'm getting consistent readings multiple times through, then that means that probably ready to go.